The pounding on my garage door was so loud it made my coffee cup tremble on the counter. It sounded like someone was trying to break it down with a sledgehammer. I didn't need to look to know who it was. Through the frosted window, I caught a glimpse of a red-faced woman waving her phone like a weapon. Patricia Dalton, the self-proclaimed queen of Riverside Heights, our beloved HOA president, and right behind her stood her teenage son, Tyler, arms crossed, a smug expression plastered on his face. "Open this door immediately." Patricia's voice cut through the metal like a siren. "I know you're hiding stolen property in there. The police are already on their way." I couldn't help but smirk. If only she knew. I set down my mug, clipped my badge to my belt, and instead of opening the garage, I opened the front door. The look on her face when she saw me standing there, calm, collected, badge gleaming in the sunlight, was almost worth 3 weeks of her harassment. But before I tell you what happened next, let me back up. 3 weeks earlier, I had just moved into Riverside Heights. After 20 years of apartment living, I finally bought my first home, a modest 3-bedroom house with a double garage and just enough space for my pride and joy, a 1969 Ford Mustang Boss 429, painted in grabber blue. That car wasn't just metal and rubber to me. It was my father's legacy. We spent 5 years restoring it together. Every bolt, every shine, every growl of that V8 engine was a memory of him. When cancer took him 6 months ago, that Mustang became the only piece of him I could still hear roar. I'd driven it only 3 times since moving in. Short drives around the block just to keep the engine warm. Most neighbors waved, admired, or gave a thumbs up. But not Patricia Dalton. Patricia lived 4 houses down. HOA president, professional busybody, a woman who wore power like perfume. The first day I met her, she walked right up to me holding a 3-inch binder labeled Riverside Heights HOA Rules and Regulations. "Mr. Morrison," she said, squinting like I'd already committed a crime, "your moving truck has been parked 2 inches past the approved limit. We run a tight ship here." Her bleached hair was perfectly curled, her white pants spotless despite the 90-degree heat. "I trust you'll be a compliant addition to our community." I smiled, nodded, and said nothing about my job. No need for anyone to know that the new guy was actually the city's newly appointed chief of police. The first problem. The second week in, I was in my garage, polishing the Mustang's chrome, when a shadow appeared in the driveway. Tyler, 17 years old, wearing designer sneakers and that smug grin that screams, "My mom gets me out of everything." "Sweet ride," he said, running his hand down the fender without asking. I gently moved his hand away. "V8 429 Cobra Jet. Please don't touch it. Just finished waxing." He nodded, pretending to care, but I could already see the glint in his eyes. The kind that says, "I want it." "You should let me take it for a spin," he said. "Got my license last month." I almost laughed. A 400-horsepower classic muscle car in the hands of a 17-year-old? "Not a chance. Sorry, son," I said evenly. "This car doesn't leave the garage unless I'm behind the wheel." Tyler's smirk faded. "My dad pays a lot in HOA fees. That means we basically own part of this street. So technically I kinda own a piece of that car too." I blinked. "That's not how property works," he frowned. "We'll see about that," then stormed off. Enter the Queen. 20 minutes later, Patricia showed up, wearing her battle uniform. White blazer, heels clicking like gunfire on my porch. "Mr. Morrison," she said sharply, "my son tells me you were rude to him." I told him he couldn't drive my car, if that's what you mean. She folded her arms. "Tyler is a very responsible young man. When he takes interest in something, it's only neighborly to accommodate him. We're a community here." "Ma'am," I replied, calm as ever. "That's a vintage car worth more than most people's salary. I don't let anyone drive it." Her nose wrinkled like I'd insulted her bloodline. "Well, perhaps that vehicle isn't HOA compliant. I'll be reviewing our bylaws tonight." And review she did. The harassment begins. Over the next week, I received a stack of violation notices so absurd I almost framed them. Excessive noise from vehicle. I hadn't even started the engine. Color too bright, may distract drivers. And my favorite, vehicle classified as a commercial racing car. Each time, I responded with the patience of a saint, citing actual HOA regulations that proved she was wrong. But every logical response only made her more furious. The escalation. The following Saturday, I was mowing my lawn when Tyler returned, this time with 2 friends in tow. "Hey, Mr. Morrison," he called out, fake friendly. "Me and my boys were wondering if you changed your mind about that car. Maybe just one quick ride?" "The answer's still no, Tyler." His friend, a bulky kid in a football jersey, stepped forward. "Come on, man. Don't be such a hard ass." I turned off the mower and looked them dead in the eye. "Boys, you need to head home. Now." They left, but not before Tyler muttered, "You'll regret this." An hour later, Patricia was back. This time with her husband Richard in tow. Richard looked exhausted, like he'd rather be anywhere else. "You threatened my son," Patricia snapped. "We could sue you for emotional distress." "My husband's a lawyer," Richard winced. I knew the type. Tax attorney, rarely stepped foot in court. "Ma'am," I said evenly, "I asked them to leave my property. That's all," Patricia huffed. "We'll see what the HOA thinks about that." The HOA meeting I didn't attend, but my neighbor Janet filled me in later. Apparently, Patricia spent 40 minutes warning everyone about the dangerous, new element in the neighborhood, complete with a PowerPoint titled "The Threat of Street Racing Culture." Janet laughed so hard, telling me she had tears in her eyes. "She actually called you a hooligan, Sam." I shook my head. "I just want to live in peace." But Patricia wasn't done. The breaking point, a week later, I was enjoying coffee on a Saturday morning when I heard voices in my driveway. Tyler, again, this time with his friends, taking selfies with my car through the garage window. I stepped outside. "Tyler, get off my property." "It's just for Instagram, bro," he said. "My followers love classic rides." "Off my property." He turned red. "You know what? Screw you. That car should be mine anyway. You're too old to even drive it right. Leave now or I'll call the police." He smirked. "My mom already did. She said you stole this car." I froze. "What did you just say?" She looked up the registration. "It doesn't match your name. She said the cops are going to impound it." I sighed. Patricia must have found out the car was still registered under my late father's name. I'd been meaning to transfer the title but hadn't gotten around to it yet. That's when I heard it. The sirens. The 911 Call 3 patrol cars came racing down our quiet cul-de-sac, lights flashing. Patricia stood at the curb, phone in hand, looking triumphant. "There he is, officers. That's the man with the stolen vehicle." I recognized the first 2 officers immediately, Martinez and Davidson. Good men, from my own precinct. The third car pulled up, Thompson and the rookie, Patel. Martinez stepped out, confusion on his face. "Chief Morrison?" he said carefully. "Morning, Martinez," I said, sipping my coffee. "Beautiful day, isn't it?" Patricia blinked. "Chief? What do you mean, Chief?" Davidson straightened his posture. "Ma'am, this is Chief Morrison. He's our boss." The color drained from Patricia's face faster than her foundation could handle. Tyler froze. Richard looked like he wanted to crawl into a drain. But the car," Patricia stammered. "It's not in his name." "It was my father's," I explained calmly. "He passed away 6 months ago. I inherited it. Would you like to see the will and death certificate?" I didn't know," she mumbled. I turned to Martinez. "Officer, please take a report. This woman called 911 to make a false claim of a stolen vehicle. She's also been harassing me for 3 weeks." "Yes, sir," Martinez said, pulling out his notepad. Patricia's eyes widened. "Wait, it was a mistake." "You checked the registration," I said evenly. "You made a false report. That's not a mistake. That's malicious intent. Thompson's body cam was already recording." He turned toward Tyler. "Son, were you involved in this?" Tyler puffed up. "Yeah, so what? He's been a jerk since he moved in. My mom runs this neighborhood." "Tyler, stop," Richard muttered. She could buy and sell all of you. Tyler barked. We'll sue the whole department. The rookie, Patel, looked like he was watching a live episode of Cops. I nodded for him to keep the camera rolling. Within minutes, half the neighborhood was watching from their lawns. Patricia was cited for filing a false police report and misuse of emergency services. Tyler got a trespassing warning. Patricia shrieked, I'm on the HOA board. I keep this neighborhood safe. Ma'am, I said calmly, you weaponized the police because your son couldn't get what he wanted. That's not safety. That's abuse of power. Richard finally spoke, his voice trembling. Chief, I'm deeply sorry. This won't happen again. They walked home in silence. Patricia red-faced, Tyler sulking, and Richard dragging his feet like a man questioning every life choice. The fallout. By evening, the neighborhood was buzzing. Janet knocked on my door. You're trending. Chief, someone leaked the body cam footage online. Sure enough, within days. The video, titled HOA President Calls Cops on Police Chief Over Mustang, went viral. Tyler's My Mom Runs This Neighborhood rant became a meme. Patricia's dramatic gasp when she heard Chief became a TikTok sound. At the next HOA emergency meeting, the tables turned.